Hi, I'm Hannah Brown, and welcome to Better Tomorrow. My absolute favorite thing to do is have a heart-to-heart talk with my new friends and my best friends, where we sit down and talk about all the things like relationships and love, faith, and self-care. And of course, the little things as well, like the struggle to figure out what to eat tonight. All in all, I really want to ask, how am I better today than yesterday? And bring artists, entrepreneurs, and friends along on the journey. So join me on the journey, will you? Hi, y'all. Welcome back to Better Tomorrow. It has been such a crazy season over here, but I am so excited about the podcast today because we're going to be talking all about color analysis. And if y'all have seen some of the things I've done on my Instagram, like I've done a whole reel about this. I am so fascinated and intrigued by it and have definitely used it for my own personal style. But why I wanted to talk about this is because I think personal style and how you show up in the world is so important. And I always know when I'm not doing so well because the effort that I put into the way that I get dressed and how I groom myself just goes out the window. So we're doing all this work on this podcast to change ourselves on the inside. So I thought it'd be cool to have somebody on here that could help us with making sure that we can show up as our most vibrant version of ourselves on the outside. So I got my own color analysis expert to come on, Hannah Garber. Thank you so much for being here.
Hello, Hannah.
And like I said, I just think this has been so insightful for me. So I just wanted to have you on to explain everything and to share it with everyone that's listening. So thanks for being here.
I love it. Two Hannahs together again.
I know, what's better than one, two?
That's right.
So first,
Yes.
I think the big question that we have to answer is just what is this color analysis thing that everybody's talking about right now?
Yeah. So it's everywhere. Like you said, thank you, social media. But we're all born with an undertone, like a blood type. And that does not change ever. So once I determine your undertones, I then place you in a season. So if you were a warm undertone, it would be a test between autumn and spring. If you're cool, it's a test between winter and summer.
I'm a summer.
I'm just a summer. Yeah. Sorry, that was epic and you're real. But yeah, so you have a cool undertone, even though you tan very beautifully. Yeah. And I know there was even some controversy, I don't know, she looks good in the warm. Listen, y'all, she looks good in everything.
Thank you.
But I did give her a word of caution. Mm-hmm. She will wake up one day and this Hannah be 43 years young. And it's going to matter.
Yeah.
It may not be as intense of a difference now, but as we age, our overtone changes.
Okay.
So that's the one thing that does change. Your undertone is your undertone. But what happens is the overtone.
I know not the only way that you can test it, but they'll say the easy way to test it is to look at your veins, which is also really hard because I look at my veins and it's they're purple. Sometimes they look green. Sometimes they look blue. So there's a lot more to it, but that's what you mean by that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
When you go to the makeup counter and they're trying to match your foundation, is she warm, cool? We don't know. We're going to make her a neutral. It'll work for everyone, but everyone inherently has either a warmer or cooler undertone.
Okay.
So that's where the basis is from. And then we find the best set of colors and contrasts. So for example, you and I are both cool, but even sitting here, I have a much more intense contrast. It's black, white, fuchsia, where you as a summer is taking that black cup of coffee, putting some heavy cream in it, and it just taupes and sort of smokes it out into this yummy, cool palette. Still cool based. You just don't need as much contrast.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's another thing that I found really interesting about figuring out what this color analysis was the importance of looking at your features and the contrast that you have. One of the things I've seen a lot is if you took a black and white photo, are you somebody that would more blend in, or would it be?
Oh, wow.
Have you seen this?
I have not.
But it makes a lot of sense because I don't have a lot of contrast. So when I have a black and white photo, there's not that much dimension in the photo. But if you took it, you have pale, more fair skin and darker
I'll
features.
pop more.
You pop.
Where you might sort of fade into the photo.
So for me, wearing bright colors is overpowering.
It can be. It can be.
Because y'all, if you're watching, I even brought
This is so good.
I have all my colors that I take with me everywhere. Okay. Because I'm really just trying to be more mindful of what I'm buying, what I have in my closet for a lot of reasons. This is well before doing the color analysis, but that's why I wanted to do it and thought it was interesting. So I take this fan of little swatches of fabrics with me in my purse everywhere. So if I am traveling and I see something that I like, I can always pop it out and be like, does this kind of match? And I don't always even have to, at this point, don't even have to have this. I can understand like how Hannah was saying, like for me, a color needs to be almost like muted or
soft,
dusty.
Blended.
Yeah. Which like at first I struggled because I really wanted to be more warm based, but we can kind of get into more of that like color bias and everything. But as you were saying, you were kind of talking more about like how, I know you kind of mentioned like how it works, but can you talk about like what we did? Like how do you actually help somebody find their color? Like what is the actual process? Because it's pretty extensive. It took an hour or two, I would say.
Yeah. So there's 36 colors in each season that are really just representative of all of the colors in the world. So it's not like
I only can wear these 36 colors in here.
Exactly. And again, these are tools, not rules. No one is issuing any fashion police tickets today anyway, that's for sure. But yeah, so I take you through a process comparing a warm versus cool. And on some people, the difference is extremely dramatic. Like I literally had someone get nauseous the other day. She couldn't see herself. Like when she saw herself, she was warm, saw herself.
No way.
I had to get her mint. I had to turn a fan on. Hannah.
What? Okay. Was it that bad? I mean, maybe not to get nauseous.
All
but
of my clients are super beautiful. So no, but
it was just very obvious that like,
no, it was intense. So sometimes like, it's just me and you talking right here. Yeah. So no, literally sometimes people will look deceased.
Wow.
It's wild. And she could see it.
Yeah.
She saw it and it freaked her out. And she's like, I don't need to see that again. Got it. I am not cool based. Moving on.
Okay.
So some people are more
very obvious.
You were much more subtle. Much more subtle.
What makes it more subtle? Like for me, like it's what we were putting up blues and greens, and it was like I'd be like, oh, I still like this color on me. I don't think it looks horrible.
Right.
There was like these very subtle differences. That was kind of hard for me to see at the beginning. But what is it that makes somebody harder? And is it like even for me, like when I get my makeup done, they always say I'm very neutral. It is hard for me to find, like when you go to the makeup counter, there's like the N or the C or the W. Like I'm always in the neutral category. Is that what makes it hard?
Well, summers generally have very blended tones, meaning there is not a stark difference between your skin tone, your eye color, and your natural hair color. Like if you put all of those colors in a row, there isn't a huge difference. Like it's literally a blend. So that's why that you have had like not seen a drastic difference.
Okay.
But that's normal. That's a normal trait of summers and sometimes autumns too. It's a more blended tone.
Okay, I was gonna ask, like that is for summer, but could you go through the winter, the spring, and the autumn?
Okay, so a winter for sure. And now we can all look different too, by the way. If we had a room full of summers in here, a room full of winters, we could all look different. Not everyone looks like this sort of Snow White situation that I have going on.
I was going to say, you're like,
I know, it's
nail on the head winter. Yeah.
You could pretty much do a light Google search and figure out what I am.
Yeah.
You are a little bit trickier. But in some people, that first step is the warm to cool comparison, and that's going to narrow down half of it. But for me, I need contrast. If I put on your blended tones, I look like a little bit of a deflated tire. Like it's not quite enough. It's okay. But like Nicki Minaj says, why be simple when you can be stunning?
I love it.
Yeah. But in springs, they're very bright and clear and warm. I always say, think Malibu Barbie. That's one way to think about it. She has more of a golden in her hair. She looks great tan.
See, I thought I would be a spring or autumn because of that, because I have more of a tan. I've always had like more golden undertones in my
your hair, right?
Like naturally, that's just kind of what my hair will pull. So that's why I had such a hard time. So I was like, I'm supposed to be
in your mind,
in my mind.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And then going back to this point, you're like, why was it hard for me? Another point, you are young. You take great care of your skin. Yeah. And you don't have a lot of overtone, meaning you don't have a ton of like, there was an artificial tan, melasma, rosacea. Most of us, Hannah, have some imperfections. But when people have more imperfections, they will be more obvious in their incorrect colors. And you're doing a great job. She's taking her supplements.
We're taking all the
She's
supplements.
doing her work.
I'm taking all the hair growth.
That's right.
Things.
So therefore, that makes you a more complex case. So, but that's a good thing.
Okay.
That's a good thing. Just take that and run with it.
Okay, perfect. And then, so spring is going to be that more, like you said, Malibu Barbie. But autumn, it's kind of like subset and warm.
Yeah.
That warm
pumpkin
tone.
Spice. Yes.
But whenever I think of an ottoman.
Also, an ottoman would be beautiful in an autumn shade. I'd love that, actually. Maybe like a teal or a rust.
But when I think of an autumn, I immediately think of like a redhead with freckles, light skin.
It could be.
But what else? It could be
me. I mean, it could be a brunette with brown eyes. It could be a blonde. I mean, there's so many different versions.
So it doesn't have anything to do with like, you could have really dark skin and you could be a summer.
Oh, yeah. No, anybody can be anything. All ethnicities. Oh, yes.
I think that's what's so hard is people will just see somebody and be like, oh, you're definitely
you must be that.
Or that because you just like fit the profile like you do. It's like if somebody has fair skin, dark hair and
blue eyes. Yeah.
It's like, oh, you're immediately a winter, which could be the case, but
right. But also if you were to look back, so now I am fully living in my God-given authenticity. I literally have no color in my hair at all. I'm not even really wearing bronzer anymore because I'm like, wait a minute.
Wait, you're not wearing color? You don't have grays?
Oh, yes, girl, but don't worry about that.
Okay. I was going to say, because I have grays already and that's why I have to lightly
a little
dust the hair.
Yeah. But winters also look great with contrast. So I'm experimenting. When the Christmas tinsel comes in, if I hate it, I'll change it. But I am just a walking experiment to see how it goes. But yeah, no, back in the day, like before I knew for sure, I was living my best sort of autumn and just whatever life. Every hairdresser I've ever been to was trying to make my hair warm. Like, brunettes, they lighten through the warmer shades. And I had all this like auburn and gold in my hair and I was wearing moss green. It's not that it was bad, but this is better.
Yeah.
This is way better. And it's like authentic to me. So I'm all in.
I love that.
Yeah.
That is one of the questions I was going to have. Like, once people do this process with you, find out what color they're in, like, what would you say to the people who think that this is like a little too restrictive or wondering if they can still wear colors outside of their color palette? Like, is there some flexibility there?
100%. Tools, not rules. I don't want to put anyone in a box ever. And people will come to me and they're terrified. Oh my gosh, you're going to take my black away. And I say, no, I'm not going to take anything away from you. In fact, I'm just going to open your eyes to colors that you've probably not even been paying attention to before. Primrose on you. Hello.
I know.
That like yummy frosted lemonade yellow. That was a surprise of the day.
Totally.
We had no idea. So there's just a whole new world and color palettes that you have walked by in the store, did not know. Like, wait, Hannah Brown can be more attractive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like we all have the ability for a glow up. I'm never going to take anything away. I'm going to show you your best. What you choose to do with that is completely up to you. And I support you on your journey.
I love that because I have tons of black shirts. I think sometimes that can be like that comfort thing to wear black and white and neutrals. And I didn't feel like I had to take that away, but it's been nice for me to see even like when I went back home, I was like, oh, I am already, kind of doing this. Like I have lots of tones of pinks in my closet. Now I didn't realize how good so many blues looked on me, and now I'm like more open to that, and I'm always like wanting to add more blue into my closet. I actually found a shirt that was in that pretty primrose that I cannot wait to wear. So it's just made me feel so much more confident with my the things that I do have in my closet. And also to see when I went back home after I did the whole analysis, I looked back and I was like, the things that I'm not wearing all the time are usually the things that were not in my color palette. Like it was like, those were the colors that when we were doing the analysis that like didn't look good. I'm like, okay.
So intuitively you were already not making that choice.
I was still, I was buying it and thinking, ooh, I like that color.
I like it on the mannequin. I like it online.
I've seen it on somebody else. I want to do that for me, and then I'd buy it, wear it one time, and then never wear it again.
So what you are tapping into right now is the science behind all of this, which says we are inherently attracted to our own coloring. So when you were a little girl, if I were to ask you, what was your favorite color, like 10 years old?
I would say pink or blue.
And that is in your palette.
Yes.
100%. Like for me, I was purple. Give me the purple. Royal purple.
But I always liked light pink, light blue, light
You were that
purple.
Specific?
Yes. And that is like,
I mean, it's actually
my color.
In your color.
Yeah. I never liked the dark shades, the vibe.
Yeah.
Like I liked it, but that wasn't
Appreciated it.
I wanted.
Yes.
Even though the colors of my walls, let me see. Oh my gosh. The colors of my walls as a child were this rose bubblegum crazy pink. So yeah, I guess it was still in my palette. I was like, it made my whole room like glow. It was
subconsciously you knew.
But I knew.
No, as children we know. We don't know we know.
Yeah.
And what happens as we age and become adults, we are all subject to media, social media, everything, and we become color biased.
Yeah, tell me what that is.
Color bias is sort of this narrative in our head. So let's say in high school you worked at Target and you had like a really bad experience. We love Target, so that would never happen.
Yeah.
But like maybe you don't want to wear red anymore. Or maybe one time your grandmother said, oh, I love you in moss green. And you love your grandma. And so you started wearing moss green. We know that moss green is actually not one of your best colors.
It's
these stories that we tell ourselves. The teacher that we didn't like that scolded us one day, she used to wear purple. I'm never wearing purple. So we build up all of this talk and chatter in our head when really that's just a bias. That's not real until you sit down and see what the colors are doing for you. Then you can make the decision.
Totally. Could color bias also be like, could you just love the color, I don't know, let's say bright yellow. You could love that color.
Yes. It's a happy color.
It's because of the way that it makes you feel.
Yes. But not necessarily
it might not look good on you, but you want that feeling, so you just wear it. I don't know.
Okay.
People talk about like dressing, dopamine
dressing. Yeah, we love that.
Do we love that? But then sometimes that might not be your colors, right?
Listen, at the end of the day, if it makes you feel good,
we're all for it.
I am all for it. 100. Yes.
What if moss green made me feel good?
I'm going to have to reconsider that whole conversation. Listen. Okay. There's something called, I don't want to get too deep, dissonance. Okay. So in art, in music, in film, they use this all the time. So for example, I'm casting you in a movie, and believe it or not, you're going to be the bad girl. Like you are a villain, right?
Yeah.
As the director and producer, I am not putting you in your summer colors because everyone will fall in love with you.
Yes. Okay. That makes
right?
sense.
I'm going to put you in moss green because it's going to create a vibe and a different, like an offset energy. And then all of a sudden I'm looking at Hannah Brown like, she really is the bad girl in this movie. I don't like that character. And it makes you more invested.
Okay.
So you can use colors sort of as like a secret weapon for or against. Like if you're in a mood, like
I will wear black.
Yes.
I'm wearing my black hoodie.
She's
in some baggy jeans and like a bright green hat. If you see me at the airport, that is what I'm wearing.
It's your camouflage.
Yeah.
And like for me, black's not a camouflage. Like I'm just like, yeah, I'm a black.
It is totally. It's my camo. I don't want anybody to notice me.
Right.
So I'm wearing
an opposite of your best. You can use these colors accordingly.
And that's kind of like what I first said when I started to intro this in the earlier part of the episode. Like, I think a lot of times when we are not in our best place, we are sometimes unknowingly doing that, where we're wearing colors that hide ourselves in plain sight. And that is why I think this is so important, because as you're doing this inner work and trying to like get to that most authentic self and taking these like having these big conversations with yourself of like, who am I? Like, how can you show that work on the outside? Some people could say, oh my gosh, this is all about just feeling more attractive. It's like, no, it's about being the most authentic version of you.
Authentic.
And colors, like you said, can be used like psychologically to make us feel different ways. So why not invest in yourself and try to figure out the best way that you can show up in this world? So I just love it so much. Have you ever had anybody, as you've done these color analysis, like disagree with you?
Oh.
Like to be like, you did this whole thing and be like, I still don't agree with it.
No.
Okay.
No.
Because people see it.
Because I will not let them leave until I'm like, I want you to see it. I'm going to see it right off the bat. I want you to see it and feel it and experience it. And that's why we go through the end and I take you through every color and introduce you to your new friends so that you can see it. And I've not ever had that. Not to say it may not happen, but I hope not.
Yeah. Would you say that personality and preference is a part of the analysis?
As in the client's personality?
Yeah.
I see trends. I'm not kidding you. I see trends.
Wait, okay, tell me.
No, I think certain personalities, I'm telling you guys, everything comes back from your, Myers-Briggs and Enneagram. And when were you born? Like, when is your birthday, by the way?
Are you I'm a Libra.
Are you a summer baby though?
September 24th.
Okay, summer baby.
Yeah.
Summer season. So I even think sometimes our personality types make sense for the season that we're in. I mean, this one over here hardly made it through winter.
I can't do that again. I'm like trying to find somewhere to go next time.
Like, you need to get that on the books, plan ahead for next season.
I know.
No, but truly, like one of my best friends, she's also a summer. She loves to wakeboard.
Yeah.
She's always on the lake. She drives a Jeep, looks forward to taking the top down, loves to be tan. I'm like that. Like, I also feel like summers have a little bit more of an easygoing energy. I swear.
I'm not easygoing. I wish I could be, but I pretend.
Or there is some sort of ease.
There is
or
a
joy. Or,
yeah. It's in there always. I'm not easygoing though. Adam is like, you are the most particular person about certain things, but I do it with a smile.
You're fooling all of us.
Yeah.
You're nailing that. You're absolutely nailing it. No, I think summers have an ease about them. I do think winters, I don't know. I think there's like some kind of stronger energy there, and hence they need more contrast. Autumns also have like an earthy vibe.
I mean, I agree.
And springs, I mean, they just remind me of like the fresh package of crayons on the first day of school. Everything's like bright and shiny and they just like exude life. There's something excellent about all of them for sure.
Totally.
But I do think personality sometimes is like a wink at where they could end up.
Because when we met and did my whole experience, I noticed that you ask a lot of questions before to kind of just know, to understand where I'm coming from. What do I like? What do I feel the most confident in? I didn't know if there was anything that, if preference played a part in this as well.
I will tell you that no.
No, you're like,
no,
not at all.
If you came in and you're like, listen, I love moss green and rust, and I love, pumpkin spice season. I'm the first one in line every year, and I love bonfires. I would have been like, that is wonderful for you.
Yeah.
You are still a summer. No, even though, you could try to slip me a 20, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I want to show you your best. Like I could not. But I think people like color. I think they just we can all appreciate beautiful art, whether or not it needs to be on our bodies. We can still appreciate it.
Totally.
Yeah.
So that kind of leads me to my other question. I love neutrals. And
I know you do.
I love just shades of beige. But you're not, like, being a color analysis and doing this does not mean that everyone has to dress in their, like, brightest, boldest colors.
Neutrals are so important, Hannah.
Yes. Tell me more about that.
Well, the majority of your closet really needs to be your basics, right? And I think it's as important, if not more important, to know your best neutrals. Then you pull in these pops.
Yes.
Then, because how often are we doing red carpets and things like that? It's not as often as our everyday dressing. Like, sometimes we just need a fresh t-shirt to go with a pair of jeans or a tank top and a jacket. Like, how am I going to make that decision? Knowing your neutrals is huge.
That was something that I loved because, like, just think about it. There's a difference between a stark white and an ivory and a shell. And where was I the other day? Oh, I was at this really nice store here in Nashville called Modiste. It's amazing. Just have to throw that out there. There was this amazing sweater. I love knitwear. It was just textured. It had, like, all these, like, just like almost like flowered knitted little
Hand
appliques.
details,
It was
love
just
it.
gorgeous. I loved it so much. But when I looked at it, it was more of a warm beige than a cool beige. And I knew it didn't look the best on me. And it took everything in me to be like, I love this sweater. Like, this is so me, everything about it. But when I'm looking at a neutral that is not my best neutral, because they were like, oh my gosh, it's a neutral. It'll go with everything. And yes, it could go with everything, but it's still pulling warm and kind of just washing me out. And I don't think I would have fully seen that if I hadn't, worked with you. I would have just seen, oh, it's a beige sweater. Like, I can wear neutrals. So it's been really interesting to see that for me.
Well, and with you making really intentional choices with shopping. So, there's a lot of trends about girl math and all that, everything right now.
Yeah.
So if you were going to invest in what sounds like a very beautiful sweater that probably was like a more premium price, why invest in something that you know is not your best versus now you can make that choice being like, yes, 10 out of 10. I will wear that so many times. It'll basically become free. Girl math.
It was so funny, y'all. Me and my mom was here this weekend, and I had to do all these returns because I did, like, dress myself mostly for this book tour I just went on. And it was a lot. Like, I just had to order a lot to try on.
Yes.
And I was like, oh my gosh, Mom, like, I need to make some money. Let's go return things. And she got what I was saying. She was like, you're right. Like, you just, like, got paid. I'm like, I did.
Basically.
Yeah. So I love that.
I do.
So you also said this, like, color analysis right now is everywhere.
Right.
And it made me think when I first started seeing it on my TikTok that it was a new thing, but it turns out it's been around for years.
Yes.
So when did this actually become a thing for people
70s
to do?
and 80s.
Okay.
Did you ever ask your mom, did she ever do that?
She totally did it.
She did do it.
Yes.
Does she remember?
She doesn't really remember. And I would love for her to do it because her skin now is she has, like, a lot of hyperpigmentation. Like, she's, like, red. Like, her skin is red. And she was like, I'm pretty sure she was a summer back then. She can't fully, she's like, I don't remember. But she's
Totally
like,
normal.
she totally remembers everybody doing it.
Yes.
That it was a thing, remembers the book that
Yes.
people would use.
Yep.
So it was around back then.
Right.
Like, what made it go away?
Oh man, this is a very controversial subject.
Okay.
Well, I don't know because no one really knows for sure. But in the 70s and the 80s, there was a lot of women entering the workforce.
Okay.
And during that time, it was power dressing. So when you go back and watch, like, the old 80s movies with the huge shoulder pads and these giant blazers and geometric prints, it was very over the top.
Yeah.
Power dressing went out of trend, like off trend, no longer a thing. And it became much more of like a minimal look. And so when power dressing went away, the color analysis also kind of went with it. They were sort of working hand in hand. And like any trend, things come and go, but everything comes back around.
Yeah.
And I also think because we're still, I feel like, coming out of like pandemic and all this stuff, people are now trying to reinvest in themselves. They don't have clothes. We had inventory issues for a while. And so now people are looking in their closets. Weddings are back on, graduations are back on, everything's back on, and they have nothing to wear.
See, I kind of saw it differently because I was like, I'm wondering why, but similar vein. I feel like what happened too is like fast fashion became a thing for the first time.
Ooh.
And people were just over consuming.
Yes.
And so you would just buy whatever because it was Shein or Amazon or whatever.
You can throw it away.
Yeah. And just not being intentional. And now like I feel like everybody's having to be a little bit more cautious and understanding how it's been out there more publicly, like how horrible that is for the environment. So people are, I'm believing, I'm trying to do a positive twist on it. Like people are wanting to be more sustainable.
I love it.
And invest, like I'm saying, like if I'm going to buy something, I want to be really intentional about what I'm purchasing so that it doesn't just sit in my closet. Like I'm so tired of bagging up clothes, like tons of clothes to then take off and donate and then just be like, man, I just wasted so much money. And I'm glad I can donate it, but like being more intentional about what's in my wardrobe, because it's so sad that we've gotten to a point where like you don't even know what's in your closet anymore.
I know.
Where back in, I mean, this was probably more like 40s, 50s, which this was, I don't know if color analysis was around
I don't
then.
think so, yeah.
But like, you know, you had to be really intentional. You had 2 dresses, you know?
That was it.
And so it's like making sure that those 2 dresses you felt confident in. I think that's what's so great, or how I'm using color analysis, is to be more intentional, because I really want to cut down on how I'm being an over consumer and being able to just be, just like I said, just more intentional and really
Capsule
love
wardrobe.
the things that I have.
Yes.
And like the capsule wardrobe thing, it's like not everybody's capsule wardrobe is the same. And realizing what is your own capsule wardrobe like? Not everybody's, it's going to, like, when I see all these capsule wardrobes, it seems like they're like black and white and maybe a brown, but it's like,
I know. Pinterest years ago, it was like black, white, and gray. Build a capsule wardrobe. But that's not going to be the best for an autumn or spring, for sure not.
Totally. I've seen so many of these TikTok videos. How has that like changed your business now that it feels like anyone and everyone has now heard of this color analysis? Like, do you have just so many more clients?
It's completely changed everything. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is very niche, what I do.
Yeah.
Generally, it's word of mouth. And then the second reason people come to me, I ask everyone, like, how did you get here today? What led you here? It's usually TikTok, Instagram, or a friend, or a podcast.
Yeah.
So it does help. And honestly, I'm not offended, you know, whether there's different systems or different things out there, you know, the apps and the filters.
That's what I was going to ask you about. What do you think about those? Do you think they're accurate?
No, I don't think they're accurate, because I've done them myself. And it's giving me the wrong answer. So it's going to give other people the wrong answer, especially if people have more complex traits, like really indiscernible eye color. Like, is it green? Is it gray? I'm not really even sure how to answer that question. I think the apps and the filters get people really curious. And for that, thumbs up.
Same for me, because I couldn't quite pinpoint. I mean, I used every single app at first. I was like,
secrets revealed.
I loved them. I thought they were so, I mean, probably not every single one, but on the TikTok, the filters, let me say, I thought it was so interesting, and I loved watching everybody else's. Yeah. And sometimes you could see it so clearly on
some people are way more obvious.
But for me, I had such a hard time. So then I started to see videos pop up of people who went in person, and I truly it was a random day. I just first tried to find some type of color analysis expert in Nashville, Tennessee, and then found you. And this was when I had free time, and it all worked out, and I was able to come in. But it started through those filters. So I do think they're a great way to get, at least acquainted with this whole niche world. But what are your thoughts on like online virtual analysis?
Man, those are tough too.
Because I mean, I feel like there's a lot of people now that do this, but what if you like live in a place that's a little bit more secluded,
right,
and you don't have the ability to go to somebody in person? Like, do you think that is still worth investing in?
Honestly, I'm going to say no.
Okay.
I'm going to say no because
that's so good, because there's people that are like interested in it, but it's knowing the best way.
I've had people do that, and then the person on the other end of the screen is like, you know what, this is like really getting difficult and I can't tell. Can you send more pictures? Can you send more pictures? And they just threw their hands up, and you're like, I need to go see like a person, like a real live human.
What would you say there's any way for people to take like the first steps to kind of do their own color analysis, especially if they might not have the resources for a professional consultant?
I would say literally go through your house. I want you to find stark computer paper white, and then find something like a beige or a yellow. I want you to just pull everything from tablecloths to birthday decorations. I don't care. And start doing warm to cool comparisons. Have one of the kids, have somebody in your house take a photo of you and look at the pictures, or use an app and put them side by side, and then start to see if you can notice changes. If the blemishes are sticking out, if the bags are sticking out, if you look sallow, all of those are negatives. So you're going to say, okay, I'm starting to see a trend here, but definitely experiment. Some people are super aware of it. Like they'll come in immediately and say, I know I don't look good in bright white. I'm like, well, let's unpack it. Let's see if that's true.
Yeah. I love that. And also, isn't it important that it's in a certain type of light, like natural light, to take those pictures?
Ideally, yeah. Okay. Yeah, like get up in front of a window, no makeup on. You know, these are going to be some very vulnerable photos, but they're just for you.
They're for you. Yeah.
It's for research.
I love that. And then also, we did all the different fabric swatches, seeing the colors, but also it's important how you do your makeup and your hair. How does that play a role in everything?
I get so excited when people change their hair after they come, because we're all masking, right? Like everyone is dyeing their hair, spray tanning, putting the wrong makeup shades on, and then wearing just whatever. So it's just this big unharmonious color scramble happening all over people. So if you are warm based, for example, you look better with a lot more warmth in your hair. If you're cool based, it's just the opposite. But what happens is, you know, a lot of people, the hairdresser steps in and they are trying to help, but they're not always fully aware of what's going on with the undertone. They're just talking hair.
They're talking trends.
And like trends.
People will see Hailey Bieber changed her hair and like, Hailey Bieber looks great with this hair. I want that. And it's like, the hairstylist is trying to give them what they say they want.
Right. Ultimately, that's what they are trying to do. And I am like, for that time that we were together, I'm like your big sister or your best friend. And I'm going to tell you completely unbiased, like, this is what I would do. If I were you, I would do this. Yeah.
I love that. Like even for my hair, I feel like it is a little bit warmer than cool tones, but it's
multidimensional. I'm great with it.
And that's what you told me. And I was like, okay, because I did add a little bit more warmth that I had. But just like you, I let my hair go completely natural for a while. Then the gray started coming in. So I had to sprinkle a little bit more light blonde in there. And the last time I went a little bit warmer than I normally did, because I just like that look. But I think, like you said, it's so dimensional that I think it still works.
Absolutely.
And I think I have noticed a difference once I started getting back to my actual roots, how much more I have been complimented on my hair, even though I've added in like obviously the blonde.
Right.
But I get so many compliments with my hair, because I think I'm just so much more...
Like you're in your tone.
Harmonious.
Yeah. You're
harmonious, whatever the word is.
I know. You're nailing it.
So what would you say for anyone who's like, okay, I'm sold, I want to do this. How can they find a professional to help them find their best colors?
Okay. So within House of Color, you can actually Google House of Color consultant near me.
Okay.
There's about 400 in the US. That would be your first step.
Because that's going to be the process that we've talked about here, because there's different ways to do it.
For sure.
That is the way that we've been talking about today.
Yeah, that is what I do. And I think there are potentially other systems out there, but I would search kind of your local area first. There could be somebody, a couple blocks away and you could completely not know it. It's very much like a secret society.
Yeah. I love it so much. What got you into this?
Oh man, it sort of happenstance. I mean, I worked in the music industry for my whole adult career, then started getting into entrepreneurship. My best friend, she went to a party one night. Someone pulled out their very own color fan and started showing her. And she's like, what is that? Calls me the next day and said, we're going to get our colors done. And by the way, we're opening this as a business. And that's what we did.
Oh my gosh.
Just like that.
It changed your life.
Oh, totally.
Not just professionally, but the way that you show up in the world. And so hopefully it's changed my life too, because I'm not just buying things that I don't need. And we all love that. But I just am so excited to share this more, because I feel like there's so many, 1-minute videos talking about color analysis, but not really going into the weeds and having these talking to somebody who's a professional in it, and then also me being able to share my own experience. So thank you so much for coming on today. Hannah's in the Nashville area. So y'all, if you're in Tennessee, she's the best. She did mine. I am so happy. And I feel like I said, it's just helped me be a more authentic, beautiful version of Hannah.
I love it.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you guys so much for listening to the episode. Better Tomorrow is produced by me, Hannah Brown, and Legos Creative. Our show is recorded, engineered, and edited by the Legos Creative team. Remember to follow Better Tomorrow wherever you get your podcasts so you don't miss the next episode. And don't forget to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. It really helps and shows your support. You can follow me on socials at Hannah Brown, and you can stay updated on all things Better Tomorrow on our Instagram at Better Tomorrow and our TikTok Better Tomorrow podcast.